As the great Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, death is not to be feared, but understood. Here are 8 Stoic lessons about mortality. First, death is natural. It is not something to be feared, but something to be understood and accepted as a part of life. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, everything in life is a process of dying, so too is death. It is simply the process of becoming what we will be after this life. So instead of fearing death, we should seek to understand it better. For as Epictetus said, he is a worthless man who does not even try to understand that of which he is afraid. Second, fear of death is really fear of life. We are afraid of death because we do not want our lives to end. But as Seneca said, he who is afraid of death has already died. When we are gripped by the fear of death, we are no longer living fully in the present moment. Instead, we are either dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. And so it is in this way that fear of death steals our lives away from us. Third, we must live each day as if it were our last. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could stop living right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Stop it now, you fool, cut it out. This is your last day. What would you do if you knew you were going to die tomorrow? Stop it. Stop everything and do that instead." He realized that we should not wait until tomorrow to start living, to start being grateful for the present moment. Fourth, remember death. To live wisely. Seneca famously wrote, "Life is short, but life is also long enough to do many great things." If we remember that our time is limited, that we could be dead at any moment, then we will begin to value our time more highly. We will realize that we don't have time to waste on things that don't matter. Fifth, the wise man prepares, not panics. When the Stoics talk about not fearing death, they do not mean that we should be indifferent to it. In fact, the Stoics practiced a kind of premeditations about death. They thought about what it would be like to die. They imagined their own funeral. They wrote down their and they did all of this not to dwell on death, but to prepare themselves for it. Sixth, death cannot steal our virtue. Our virtue is what makes us who we are. It is the sum of our choices, our actions, our thoughts, and no one can take that away from us, not even death. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you rise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Seventh, what matters is how we lived, not how long. The Stoics believed that the length of our life was not as important as the quality of our life. What matters is not how long we live, but how well we live. As Seneca said, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. And eighth, accepting death frees us from fear. When we realize that death is inevitable, that it is something we cannot control, that it is something we must all face, then we are freed from the fear of death. As Epictetus wrote, "What is the origin of fear? The origin of fear is the belief that what we fear is inevitable. And what is the origin of courage? That what we fear is not inevitable." So these are just a few of the many Stoic lessons about death. I hope they help you to see death not as something to be feared, but as something to be understood, accepted, and even embraced. Death is a part of life. It is something we cannot control, but it is also something we can learn from.